Hello everyone, this is Toby Morrison from Melbourne, Australia. I'm the founder of CFS Health online recovery program, which I'm proudly a part of. And on the other end is a beautiful girl named Amy. Welcome, Amy.
Hello, thank you.
Before you started the program, you were suffering from chronic fatigue syndrome for how long?
It probably would have been about a year and a half, I think.
How bad was it for you when you were at your worst?
When it was at the worst, I was sleeping 16 hours a day. I think the only reason I wasn't sleeping more than that was because it was my last semester of uni. So I was going to uni and doing assignments and completely stressed out whenever I was awake. The worst symptom for me was the brain fog.
Yep.
I just felt like I had cotton wool in my head all the time. It was really frustrating. Yeah, that was the worst, but I also had the muscle aches and pains through my whole body.
Just for everyone at home listening, what were you studying?
I was studying naturopathy, which, so it's quite ironic that studying health could make you so sick, but it was just such an intense course, and definitely the last year, I certainly wasn't the only one having a bit of a breakdown. It just is a lot of work. For me, definitely looking back, it was all stress was the cause of everything for me.
Did you have any glandular fever or post-viral syndrome before that?
Yeah, so I got glandular fever in July, so just before my final semester of uni. So that's really when I completely crashed. But actually when that was diagnosed, I found out that I'd had it before. So the antibodies showed that I'd previously had it. And I think the time I'd had it before was probably a couple of years previously, because I'd had a bit of a breakdown at that point as well.
Now, before you started the program, what had you tried previously? Because there's so many people at home who they feel like they've tried everything and they get nowhere, you know?
Yeah, so, I was very lucky that I had a great support network around me of naturopaths. So I at least had people around me who were validating that there was something wrong and that they understood that I really was sick, which I think is a huge thing that most people struggle with at first. And so I was taking herbal medicines and a lot of nutritional supplements, and I know they definitely were a huge part of my recovery, but I think there was definitely still something missing. And when I finally found your program, I knew that it was just that extra thing that I needed to actually get me properly better, because I improved my symptoms to a point, but I still felt like they weren't ever going to completely go away.
Yeah.
I already had a really good diet, but then I found out that I was intolerant to a lot of, healthy foods that weren't doing my body any good.
It's just so hard to, one, know what's going on in your body, and then two, you're going to someone to get help and they don't even know what's wrong with you. Sometimes they don't even believe that there is anything wrong, that you just feel like you're going around in circles the whole time, How long was it until you started noticing improvements through doing the program?
I did start to notice changes pretty quickly with the program. I think it's really helpful how you sort of just do one part of it at a time. So, you sort of you give yourself however long you need, but it's kind of like a whole week to just master one little thing, and then you add something else. And so I found that really helpful, because most of the things you talked about were things that I already knew I should be doing, but I didn't quite understand exactly how to go about it. I think for me the mindset thing was that was when my family started noticing changes as well, because I did get quite depressed and quite hopeless for a while, and that definitely made a huge change for me when I did all the mindset stuff, and the exercise was really good too.
What were the changes that you saw? Was it a physical sense of energy? Obviously you had a mental switch as well, which would have helped you with your positivity.
Yeah, I think the mental switch was definitely when I started feeling better.
Yeah.
I just generally felt a lot better, because I knew I was being much more positive when I was around other people as well, and that's when I sort of started properly believing I was going to get better, because I always knew I was, and deep down there was never any question about me getting better, and I knew I could. Yeah, after time it kind of wears you down a bit, and I realised I had got into quite a negative state. But yeah, the exercise was a big thing for me, because I used to love exercising and I used to exercise a lot, and then with the chronic fatigue it was just, I just couldn't exercise at all, and it was so frustrating. And then I knew about graded exercise therapy, but I just was starting at too high a level. So I'd got to a point where I just gave up and I just wasn't doing anything because I didn't know how to start at a low enough level that I could actually progress.
You know, there's a lot of myths around exercise, and I don't really like the term exercise anymore because people just think it's really negative and bad for you. So, you know, and what you've learned for the program is restorative exercises or restorative movement that actually rebuild your body, your strength, your conditioning without making yourself feel worse. You know, and then of course you're going to feel better. And it's funny that you mentioned that like the mental shift didn't happen until you started feeling better physically. And I totally relate to that because like naturally we're going to feel better emotionally, mentally when our bodies are actually in a condition to do so and move forwards. What did everyone else start noticing about you when you started to improve?
Well, I was living with my family at the time, which was really good. So I guess they were the ones that noticed things first because actually a lot of my friends probably still don't actually understand how sick I was because I was at the point where I could kind of act normal when I did go out. So it was really my family that noticed things. Definitely they noticed when I was being a bit happier. I mean, they noticed that I wasn't sleeping as much. That was a huge thing. You know, I just started naturally waking up at a normal time and, you know, not being asleep when I would get home from work, and just noticed like my motivation was better, and I started thinking about more things that I wanted to do.
What is your best result so far? Like, what's the biggest thing you've achieved in the last 6 months that you probably felt like you couldn't? I know you've got some exciting news about you mentioned you're starting your own business.
Yeah, so I actually had started my own business before, but I was, you know, obviously just having to really manage where I could take clients, and yeah, I mean, I just felt like that was more realistic for me at that time than actually working full time for someone else and having them control my timetable. But yeah, the big thing for me is that just in the last week I've relocated, I've relaunched my business in a new place. So I was living with my family before, which was great, but yeah, I got to the point where I didn't need that comfort zone anymore. I think I needed it for a while, but I've just moved, so now I'm about an 8-hour drive from where I was before.
Wow.
Relaunched my business, so I'm in a new clinic now. That's where I am right now. Like, I remember even just a few months ago, I was thinking about, like, I hope that in the next 6 months I can do those kind of things, but at the time it was just so overwhelming to me, just even the idea of moving house. I was just like, I can't deal with that, I can't go through that. Whereas now I've just had a ridiculously busy week and I feel fine. Like, it's, yeah, and I know that I wouldn't be doing all this stuff now if I hadn't done the program. I think I would have still had months to go before I would be feeling better. So yeah, it's really exciting. I feel like myself again, which it's very hard to feel like yourself when your brain's not working properly and when you feel tired all the time. So yeah, that's probably been the biggest milestone for me, is kind of getting on with my life.
The thing that I'm really proud of you about, and that I'm actually really excited for you, and I'm sure you're going to help a lot of people, is that now you have an understanding of what it is really like to go through something so severe, and you've come out the other end, just like I have and lots of other people have, and that in itself is really powerful. And people like myself and you and all the other people who have recovered and you know, getting their lives back, they are the ones who can help more people by passing their knowledge down. Where would you be if you didn't take that leap and faith into the program when you did? Where would you be right now if you didn't participate in it?
I think I would be about where I was 6 months ago. So I was still sleeping 12 hours at least every night, and I couldn't see my future. I think was the worst thing was I didn't know if it was going to be like another 2 years, another 10 years. So I probably would be maybe physically about the same because my physical symptoms hadn't really changed that much for a while, but I think probably mentally I would have been a lot worse.
What kind of impact has the program had on you? I feel like you have come away a different person, almost like a more enlightened one. You know, you said, you know, now you've got direction, you've got a dream, you know, this is what you're going for now.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely changed a lot of things for me, and I think it's not going to probably sound right to people who are suffering with chronic fatigue at the moment, but I can see now, like, I'm actually kind of grateful for the experience because I know that I've learned a lot from it. And yeah, just not just for helping my clients in the future, but just for knowing how to look after myself and knowing how to balance things between, instead of pushing myself like crazy all the time.
What's the best thing about the program for you? Everyone's different, obviously, and there's so much in it. What was the best thing about it for you?
Like the first thing that's so important about your centre and the program that you do is that you and all of your staff have been through chronic fatigue. Yeah, it is important because your empathy comes through a lot in the videos and in every interaction. It's like you really understand what people are going through, but it also means that your program is really well structured so that it's effective, but it's also achievable for people with chronic fatigue. Because a lot of the information you said was sort of things I'd heard before, but just the way that you explained it just made it a lot clearer and I knew how to apply it.
Yeah, more of a practical approach.
Yeah, very practical and very doable. Like even if you're bedridden, it's something you can put into practice.
So you've moved 8 hours away from your mum and dad. You've set up a new practice.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you're exercising a lot more and feeling good.
Yeah.
Socialising as well?
Yep, I actually had quite a big weekend. But yeah, it was good. I'm just having more fun now and yeah, I feel a lot more like myself and I don't have to, I'm still careful to keep balance in my life and I still, do a lot of the things that I learned in the program, but I don't have to worry about it anymore and I don't have to hold back as much as I did before.
Which is just unbelievable, and I think that's everyone's goal through this journey is to get to the point where you don't have to worry about things. And of course, as you know, that health is a forever thing, and that's what you're going to be teaching with your clients and so forth, is that health is a forever thing, so we need to continue to do the right things to feel good. And when we're not doing it, or when we're off track a little bit, that's just a cue to get back on track anyway.
For some weird reason, it's still this disease that a lot of doctors don't even believe in, or people don't think it's a real thing, and it's so sad and it's baffling to me. I don't understand why that's the case, but that is why it's so important to have people like you doing that work and having that support group and everything, having other people validate that what you're going through is real and it is really hard.
Obviously, there's a lot of people out there who just have no hope whatsoever and they just wonder why this is happening to them. But being on the other side, what's one thing that chronic fatigue syndrome has taught you, this whole journey? What has it given you?
I think one big thing that it has taught me is the value of balance. And I definitely am a type A personality. I think most people with chronic fatigue are the type of people that work really hard and push themselves through challenges and don't quit. Then when I got really sick, I had to basically stop doing everything, and it was completely the other extreme. And with the exercise and stuff, because I was pushing and crashing so much, I just got to the point where I just gave up on everything. And then it was quite a journey to actually pull myself out of that. So I think now it's about learning how to be somewhere in the middle and have a more balanced life in between. And also just gratitude. I thought that I practiced gratitude before I got sick, but I never thought about being grateful for the fact that I could exercise and all of those things. So, having chronic fatigue is awful, but when you come out the other side and you feel better, it's so exciting that you just have appreciation for everything. Just even the fact that you've woken up at 6 o'clock in the morning without an alarm clock, it's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely a very hard experience to go through, but I think if you can come through the other side, which you will if you do this program, you'll be a lot stronger and smarter for it. You know yourself a lot better, I think.
Really excited to see what you're going to do over the next few years, because I reckon you're going to help a lot of people, and I'm looking forward to watching you blossom. Thanks for chatting, Amy. I appreciate it.
Okay, no worries.
Thanks. Bye.
You.